WE having that first pick.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of roaming mid laners we end up having on our screens. Specifically the Ryze, something that BLG's just kind of been banning away. Knight hasn't really been wanting to play it, despite the fact he's excellent on it, and they've not felt particularly comfortable letting other teams pick up. And it's something I think Karis could be interesting on that, as well as the Talia, Galio, any of these heavy roaming champions, because you're not going to win this mid lane with Karis. That's just not the sort of player that he is, but if he can get involved elsewhere, that could be something for them to potentially try play around.
Okay, I like it. We're already in the first phase of picks here, but we did have the Orianna Azir Rumble banned by BLG. We had the Ambessa Gnar Varus banned by WE, and first pick of the Karma for WE.
Yeah, just taking the Karma straight up. It's been a really strong pickup, but BLG are not playing around,
They
instantly
stole it.
slamming in onto their bot lane. And I think what they're going to be looking for is just some sort of full lockdown composition. Jin's been very comfortable at the moment on this Jarvan. It gives him high priority, and it gives him the opportunity to get into Monki's jungle and also destabilize him.
I'm really appreciative of the Ezreal. Always love Viper's Ezreal, but it's also a takeaway from About. We get insta-locks on the other side. The Jhin is locked in for About, and we get the Scion from Q, which you were telling me some stats that maybe we'll bring up a little bit later that are interesting with that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been good, we can tell you that, but we'll see what he's going to be able to do with it. Obviously, you're going to have Bin with counterpick coming on through, and BLG, who have already set themselves up for a really solid composition. You've got yourself a bot lane that's very safe, that can take it to the opponents, but more than that, this is going to unlock On to go across the rest of the map. Of course, in our graphic earlier about On and Off, he had the Bard on both sides of it, so, you know, a little bit of a coin toss with this champion, but overall, been incredibly solid on it. For WE, right now they've got a composition that's heavily focused on the poke coming through, and then looking for those big team fights where Cube finds a flank, knocks people up, makes it happen. I wouldn't rely on that for your game plan, and so for Monki, you still need yourself a heavy engage kind of AD, kind of jungler. I like that they're banning away the Vi. I also wouldn't mind seeing something like the Xin Zhao banned away, because that's been something Monki played a lot of previously, and he was finding some decent success on it.
Couple of peculiar bans, or at least particular bans here, as we do see some carry potential taken away from Bin with that Gwen ban. I want to see if BLG are going to continue focusing on to Monki's champion pool. Maybe take away his Wukong. No, that's a comfort for him, but it will be the Ryze focus towards Karis.
Yeah, I mean, taking that one away once again, BLG, they really have not felt comfortable with allowing that champion to go on over, taking it off of the board basically every single time, and only one game on it from Knight, which is a lot less than the average play rate of our other mid laners at the moment. We'll kind of keep tracking that one through the rest of this year, because if they just don't feel comfortable to play it, that's a pretty big gap in their overall playstyle, and an interesting one. Again, Knight used to be pretty good on this. The final ban will be that Jace coming off of the board, so again, just trying to take some of that aggressive pick away from BLG, but Bin, he's got such a wide champion pool, there's still plenty he's going to be comfortable on. I mean, in every situation, you do wonder if he's going over towards his Yorick.
Oh no. That'd be funny. It'd be funny. Played it one time. Also, that split pushing would be really interesting. Right now, I just like that BLG have given themselves a lot of options for engage and disengage. And it looks like that might continue to be the case here if we do end up getting at least some more concentric stuff around a team fight piece for BLG. It's going to be the Vayne locked in against the Scion here. So Bin has dropped the gauntlet and is going to be dropping his second ADC top lane of the split so far.
I mean, I love it right here, right? If you are thinking there's nothing really that Cube can do into me, he's not going to be better than me in any situation, you might as well take the fight to him fully. And now for WE, you really need to get somewhere else to play around, because your Sion's not going to be good. Might not have been good anyway. I would really like to see the Twisted Fate locked in. It gives you that heavy roaming. They're instead going to go more towards the pick potential of the Ahri. I mean, anytime you've got Ahri Jhin, right, if you can pull somebody out with that charm, you can blow them up pretty quickly. That can be a decent combo. But again, this is a very risky kind of composition out of WE, where falling behind on it early kind of puts you straight out of this one, and I just don't know how much I trust the combo between Karis and Monki right here with this Ahri Pantheon to really get things going during that sort of level 6 to level 10 window.
He's going to go with the Xin Zhao, so something a little bit more stable, something that still gives you skirmish potential, right? But it does give you a lot more team play and a lot more utility during those fights with the Crescent Guard. We'll see what BLG have been saving for the very last, and what Knight will be rocking here in game number 1.
I mean, I would like the LeBlanc here, actually. I think this is the sort of game where you can just play something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more interesting. I think the Annie makes far more sense overall for the composition, has itself a far more stable matchup into the Ahri as well. But, hey, it would have been fun to have seen something crazy, but I guess we don't need anything more fun than that Vayne top lane for Bin.
That's what I'm talking about. We got Bin on Vayne. I am all here for it. We've been wondering, when these solo lanes are really gonna, step up to the plate that they've assigned themselves, and we've seen some great moments from Bin and Knight, but the Varus was one thing, the Vayne is another. Summoning the spirit of Uzi, Bin is gonna be trying to do against Cube today.
And let's see what he can do, because as we've been talking about, right, Cube has been bad on everything, we will have to be honest here, but specifically bad on the Scion as a lane matchup that he's usually been very good at. A champion that during the woes of WE, during the end of last split, he was still good on. Everything else was pretty bad, but hey, the Scion was 4-0. He was able to pick up wins on this. You could rely on at least getting a game win on that champion. That has not been the case so far, so I think Bin in this matchup is going to be majorly unlocked, and it is potentially going to draw some focus from these junglers up towards the top side, which is interesting because we really expected both of these junglers just to focus on the bot lane, and I think if you do get drawn into the top side for WE, you are moving away from a lane you could have any impact on in the bot side towards somewhere that you're at least just trying to stem the bleeding from.
Well, it is Bin's third Vayne of his career competitively, and it's another opportunity for WE to finally find a game win. It has been a long and arduous road for WE so far, and they aren't even close to being done yet. And they have now officially crossed the halfway point. Can they get it done now? BLG versus WE, game number 1. We find ourselves in Xi'an, WE's home arena. That's where I got to go in 2023 summer. It's a good time.
So awesome. And I love that they've still got people cheering and chanting for them, right? As much as, yes, it is home arena advance, so you would expect so. Still having fans, pouring it out, enjoying watching the games, even if it's been a bit rough. Really what the players need to hopefully elevate themselves and, maybe make us right in thinking that if there's ever a game for WE to win, it's versus a BLG who potentially look beyond them, think that they need to play them with as much respect.
It's really hot in Xi'an, by the way. Like, especially in summer. Oh my god. It was ridiculously
Is it a humid
hot.
heat?
Yes. Extremely humid. Like, I literally would step outside after like fresh shower 1 second, and I'm just all the clothes are just completely drenched from humidity. It's crazy. But we'll see, if WE can maybe work a little bit of that heat magic and take away BLG's strength. I don't know. We're trying to make something out of nothing here. It is going to be the opposite side starts for, or at least same side starts for both junglers. But I do wonder if we get any early shenaniganery in the pathing here, as we do see Monki wrapping around. He wants to go punish Bin. Oh, Bin took the bait. Bin took the bait. The biggest bait that was just laying out there. Bin took it. He gobbled it up, and now he's got a hook in his mouth. Gonna have to flash. Gets flashed on immediately, and he's just gonna go down.
Okay.
Giga Bin for what? It's Cube online.
There we go. Exactly what you're talking about, right? With the early shenanigans through pathing. I love that from Monki, recognizing that Bin is always going to be playing too aggressive into Cube. And this is what we were talking about with lack of respect. Now Jun trying to make something happen down on the bottom side, and her and About have stuck around a little bit too long potentially. Should be able to walk this one out.
Oh, tries to go for the flash. He gets hit by it anyways, and the knock-up. They actually get the playback. That is insanity. BLG strike on the bot lane.
Okay, there we go right here from BLG, recognizing, hey, if Monkey's up top side, then there's no problems down on the bottom side of the map, and her as well, taking an extra chunk of damage straight up. What's particularly worrying about that play right there for WE is that you're now going to lose your flash onto the Jhin. This makes this bot lane eminently regankable for BLG, and if Jhin just wants to sort of camp down on the bottom side of the map, you are removing that power lane from WE.
Shout out to WE there. I know it was off the back of a gank that did not go their way, but really cool to see an org that has been around since 2011 in the LPL scene has reached 1,200 games played in the LPL, number 2 on the list. Really, really cool to see for WE, even though it's been trying times. The organization still stands strong after over a decade, which is incredible nonetheless. But yeah, we'll check back in on the stats of things right now, because Shun is trying to go for a play on a Monkey's jungle. He's feeling pretty good right now.
Monkey knows something's up. He's not confident stepping out.
Monkey's on vision here. Arha is going to be over here. Karis moving as well. The charm does connect on On. On's in some trouble here. On's just going to get bursted down. Arha gets the kill, but Knight is here to try to clean up some kills on a Monkey. He will get one back. So far, it's been 2 trades, 1 for 1 each time.
Yeah, but Arha picking up that kill really not going to bring you as much as you would have overall wanted. WE at least capitalizing onto the fact that On stepping a little bit too far forwards, and this is what we're talking about, right? With his Bard, he does play it quite aggressively, and the Bard overall, a very squishy champion. You need to be careful to not step up a little bit too close. He's lucky that that kill doesn't go over to a key member, unlike for BLG, who are able to get a kill into Knight, a kill into Jun. These 2 key players feeling good already.
Pretty nice to see as well. Also, Knight racked up his 1200th kill with Bin. Nice combo. I mean, it's a combo that's probably going to go down in history.
Oh yeah.
At least for the LPL. These guys have just been running things on BLG now for seemingly years. And now we're going to see Knight almost run Karis into an early grave in the mid lane under his own tower. Didn't even care about hitting the plates. Didn't even care about getting the crystalline, because he just can potentially kill Karis and force his TP now.
Oh, but the top lane again. Bin, not again.
Oh, and he has no flash. Does have exhaust coming up, but it's not nearly going to be in time. It's going to be a nice little dash, but through the shadows, Monkey will find you nonetheless. And another kill onto the top laner of BLG. 0-2 now for Bin. But again, we find another rebuttal, another trade. Oh, it's not going to go through this time. No, the shots from the turret are doing so much work here. Shun cannot finish about, doesn't have the distance covered, and Arha gets out with a flash. Finally, we get a non-traded kill, and it's in favor of WE.
And there we go, Karis as well, rotating his way down, a couple of low health bars, making this look like a potentially juicy
Karis
engage.
Wants it. Got 2 more charges. He could go for it. Goes for the flash charm. Goes for the kill on a Viper. Viper's barrier's not enough. He misses the Mystic shot and he goes down. Really nice pickup play from Karis. And now WE, they find themselves a couple more kills that BLG were not able to respond to. And they're going to start up the Dragon.
And hey, what do we say for keys to victory right here for WE? Have Monkey be aggressive, that's working so far, and then Karis on a roaming champion, able to get involved down on the bottom side of the map. Here we go, we're getting a couple of these big moments coming through for WE, and this is an early game going in their favor, with BLG being as good as they are when they have an early lead at transitioning that into late game victories. Just putting them behind, putting them in an uncomfortable position is really nice, and this is far more aggression out of WE working out for them than I feel like we've seen throughout the whole rest of their games.
This is the kind of proactivity I love to see from WE. The biggest thing is, can they transition this into a complete performance? I think that's always been the case. Even though W doesn't find leads often, sometimes their early games do go well, but it's about fully completing that cycle.
Yeah,
we do have Shun going for another invade here, another objective coming up in 30 seconds with the grubs. BLG putting full presence in the mid lane.
Yes, they are, and there's not really anything you could do at this point. The wave clear just not going to be strong enough out of an Ahri right now to be able to do too much. And you've still got Bin pushing in the top lane. He doesn't care that he's been caught out a couple different times, and he doesn't have that much vision around the top side. He's going to keep pushing exactly what you expect out of the Vayne into Sion matchup, but it does mean that BLG, they know exactly where their opponents are at. They can play quite aggressively through onto the mid lane if they want to, and here's the flank.
Oh, the flash play onto Arha. He's not going to go down just yet. Shun waiting for a combo over, goes for the Cataclysm, and dunk goes Arha through the hoop.
Okay, Okay, back and forth a little bit. BLG finding another couple of kills. They will also be able to push themselves back up into the top side of the map, you have to imagine, and grab these grubs without too much fight. Still, bot lane camps to clear at the moment for Jun, so this is going to be delayed a little bit. And WE, again, showing us that they know how to play around this bottom side of the map, and they can find a couple of ganks off of Monki, but when it comes to these skirmishes, when it comes to actually joining up with a couple extra members of the team, it feels like the communication kind of just breaks down for WE. There's no look for Cube at any point to try rotate down to that play, despite the fact he's got himself the ultimate up and available, and you're kind of just leaving Urha out to dry. He ends up getting taken down, and it just snaps any momentum you did have kind of in half.
Oh no, Bin. He's gonna get ran down again. Oh my
subs.
goodness, no way. He does have subs, he does have the exhaust, he's gonna pop ult, he's gonna try to dash away, but it's not enough. Another flash comes through and Monki gets the kill again.
This has been gameplay right here, picking himself up the vein, deciding, no, I can win this lane matchup, and he has been, right? He's been ahead in this lane matchup, has been able to get himself a little bit of a CS lead as well, but it just doesn't matter if you keep falling down to these ganks.
Okay, they're just going to go for a play here.
Good
Shun
luck.
just goes in. He does get the smite fight, but the Crescent Guard comes out now. Monkey's blocking so much damage, and Shun just dies to Karis, who now gets the resets on the Spirit Rush. They could go for these grubs. There's no jungler on the other side.
On stepping up right here and trying to get aggressive, but, I mean, there's no way you let him bully you away from this one, right? Surely.
Dude, I want to see Danny's
What?
reaction cam. I need to see it. I need to see what his reaction was to Shun going into a 1v3 to get a scuttle.
Yep.
He did
Yep.
smite it. I will give him that.
And hey, maybe that extra little bit of vision and speed up from that Scuttle Crab going down is how they were able to stop the members of WE from being able to pick themselves up these grubs, because they are now going to lose out onto these grubs. The reset comes through from Monki. He's sprinting back into his topside jungle, despite not having too many camps there. He is potentially looking to engage, but you've got no mid lane support. Your top lane is getting pushed in once again. He's just going to have to clear camps and head down towards the bottom side of the map. Minute 30 until the next objective is going to spawn. It would be a second Drake for WE if they could grab it, and are already beginning to set up a little bit of vision for this potential play, because if they can do the same again, if BLG get overly aggressive again and WE keep capitalizing, this game could slowly slip out of favor.
It could. It's still just crazy to me that BLG were able to get the grubs after all of that. So, you know, honestly, Danny, probably not that mad. We are getting close to that setup, though. We are getting those first items completed. First of all, obviously, the Sundered Skies have been completed for the junglers on opposing sides. Big thing, though, is Boots early completions for both carries here, at least for WE for now, about having completed his Swifties. Merc Treads there for Karis ahead of this dragon fight, if it's going to be one. And it looks like WE want to pick up something here.
Yeah, I mean, it really does leave you with a little bit of a dearth of actual damage, but it gives you that extra level of rotation, potential for picks as well, especially on the boots on Karis. So it may well work out for them, but it means in a straight-up brawl that we've been seeing a couple of times between these two teams, BLG will just be at a slight advantage for themselves. For right now, WE establishing a little bit of control around the bot side of the map. Karis has already started roaming down towards the bottom lane as well. With 10 seconds to go until the Drake spawns, we're getting resets out of both mid and jungle for BLG, so they're going to be in a really strong spot to fight.
Yeah, and Malignance is there as well for Knight. Ooh, little catch out though on. And a magical journey his way out of there, though. He should be just fine. Shun is in the river there, getting a little bit of vision control, getting a little bit of presence control. Ben's going to be stuck up in that top side for a while. Cube does have TP. We'll have to get away from Ben as Dragon does get started by WE here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a little bit of a flank-ish from Viper heading up from the bottom side of the map, but there's no real way he can force his way into this one, and it is just going to have to be conceded by BLG, giving that second Drake over to WE. Drake stacking something they can potentially try to play around, and something they've not been very good at throughout the whole rest of this split. They've not had good objective control. A lot of that has stemmed from the fact they've not had any real priority around the mid or the top lane. In fact, I think we were looking earlier, and they hadn't picked themselves up a single Baron so far in this entire split.
Yeah, that's tough. Not a single, not even stolen away, nothing.
Nope.
Not a Baron to be had. And they've played now 15 games of League of Legends. But there's still a possibility they could get a Baron this game.
They could.
Be
They
incredible.
could. And it's been good so far, right? They're down by about 600 gold. A lot of that's coming from the fact that, yes, as much as you were picking up a couple of kills up in the top side of the map, everywhere else has been going quite well for BLG. They've been able to grab a couple of kills. They've also got some decent little CS leads coming through. Mid lane specifically, Knight is just farming a lot better on having to, again, magical journey away. He's being very annoying to WE at the moment, playing on the very edge. I do worry at some point he's going to get himself a bit caught out and cost his team a fight, though.
Might be, but luckily when you look back at his team, they are steadily showing that prowess across the board, obviously getting some CS differentials everywhere, even the 0 and 3 bin Vayne top lane.
Yep.
And that's where you see this small gold advantage, where BLG are just always in the thick of things here. And first items coming up across the table here. And I do like some of the idea of BLG, playing towards their defensive windows, like we were talking about, playing reserve, not forcing their fight over that last dragon as well, because I do feel like they have a lot of scaling going on for their comp.
Yeah, very much so. There's a lot of that you can just play around as we get later on into the game. There's no need to be over-aggressing early on, and it really does then put the onus on your opponents to try get themselves ahead of you, accelerate themselves beyond the point at which you're going to be strong enough to play in the game, and it's potentially something to try to play around. I just find it very tricky to really put too much to WE, even with this small early advantages that they've been able to find for themselves. Potentially catching Jun here should just be able to jump away, just because they've not shown us any real ability to play these mid-game fights.
On was playing around on the top side as well there. Won't find much. Ooh, if that wind becomes lightning, maybe a follow-through comes through from Monki. I just love that they're bringing this Zins out karma all over the map.
Yep.
As a Tempered Fate goes a little bit wide there from On, unfortunately, but he'll be fishing forever with those. And we have had those readaptations of lane assignments, with the ADs coming towards mid, as Rift Herald is the play right now for WE, and this would be a continuation of some neutral objective control that they've shown so far in this game.
Because as much as you can get a lot of push going on into this Scion in pretty much any lane matchup, not going to be the same once we get out of those specific early lanes. And you've just got a lot of control for WE when they were able to get themselves this mid lane push. Still, that has now gone away. Bin can now rotate down as well. It's going to require the TP in from Cube to give him some extra body blocking, and we're going to get a straight up 5v5 skirmish right here.
Knight does not have TP. He's walking here, so if they want to play this, they're going to have to wait. But Shun is on ward. They can see whatever entrance he wants. On thinking about going in. That's a 5-man stack onto Shun. Shun is tanking a decent amount, but he immediately is going to be trying to find that exit strategy. And he does find it. No way Shun just survived. It is Bin, it is Knight, it is BLG thrusting themselves at WE and taking the fight. They got the Rift Herald, they got the kills, and now when you looked just a moment ago, it was 1,000 gold lead. Let's go ahead and crank that up to 3K now for Bilibili Gaming.
There we go, BLG just exploding onto the Rift right there, and it's over-aggression out of WE. They really forced their hand, thinking that they could fight from a very condensed position, and just allowed themselves to be flashed upon. I too am surprised that Jun is able to survive this one. On as well, flashing over this wall on the backside, sorry, blast coning I think, over this wall into the backside of this fight, and just going straight on in. Yeah, here he goes as well, straight over the wall, flashing forwards. Jun as well. By all rights, you are putting yourself into the meat grinder right here for WE, but BLG, they just play this one right on the very edge, and it's the fact that as WE, you never get to turn and burn onto one target. Everybody's split up, everybody's hitting onto different members. You're not just pumping your damage into one person, and about getting taken out at the very start of that team fight really just ruins any hope for WE of making it work.
That is a tough place to be in, because now you look at the scoreboard and you're like, damn, Knight has 3 kills? He's got 2 items?
Yep.
That's terrifying, because now you can just point blank Annie stun somebody and probably 100-0 them. So WE need to figure out what goes on next. There is another dragon on the table. It could be a 3rd dragon for them, but they've lost a lot of their fighting strength now.
Yes. Yeah, they have, and that's the other problem, right? With BLG's composition, one item spike is real for them. The Sun Sky coming through for Jun gives him a ton of extra survivability. Malignant's obviously great on the Annie, but more than that, it's the Trinity Force coming through for Viper means he can step up, he can really start pumping that damage, and has to play with a lot less fear than he was prior to getting that first item. And BLG exploding onto the map as they did, getting these leads in every single lane, means WE, they were playing with a lot of confidence beforehand, but they're going to have to really temper that through a little bit. And again, how do you really find a way into the backline without just throwing Monki and Karis at the backline? And in this situation, I don't know that they survive that play.
You can see a little bit of the hesitance around this dragon setup as Knight goes and answers Karis in the side lane. Monki actually starts it up. It is the first of the Hextech dragons. There's way more bodies down here as TP does come through. Knight saving his. Okay, he'll come in on the back end of the fight. But we're just going to go for round 4 at this point. Charm misses from Karis. Tempered Fate also misses. Viper goes forward. Karis is the focus right now for BLG. And now it's going to be turned right onto Sun. The curtain call has been called. And it's going to find On with the 3rd shot. Missing the 4th shot. But Arha also gets traded down. And BLG all of a sudden swarm like sharks. Get the dragon and take down yet another fight against WE.
About at least landing a couple of those shots, but the curtain call with Hexophix just not doing that much damage at this point, only picking up the support for BLG. And then the second that you've lost all of that engage, all of that big burst damage for WE, BLG, they just turn around, Jun pops that ulti through, Cataclysm on top of the opponents, and there's really nothing that you can do from this one. And it looked so hopeful early on, didn't it, Mezo? It looked like, hey, WE, they're fighting back, they're finding a couple of kills, but they spend so much time trying to get kills into the top lane. And Cube just never pays this one back. Look at him in this game. He manages to hit onto On, but that's the support. That's not that key member. He doesn't actually get into the backline, really. And then ends up just getting turned and burned.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're facing a double AD comp and you are having to deal with the front line, as we see that happening yet again. Knight gets his 4th kill, 5th kill of the game there. Shun gonna give his life over for this one. Still some decent healing from the Sundered Sky. He almost survived that one. Goes the other way with the Flag and Dragon, does end up going down. But that's a lovely sacrifice that BLG will gladly take. 6,000 gold in the lead. And Knight and Bin, they're having themselves a day so far.
Yep, that's the thing, right? As much as Bin was getting pushed around during the early laning phase, Bin doesn't care. He's now going to get as aggressive as possible. Karis instantly
just 2 kills. He's up by like 1.7k.
Yep,
no
Cube now also going to die up on the top side of the map. No way he survives this. Knight does more than enough damage to take him out.
Well, that's a 6th kill for Knight. As his Annie starting to become a little bit of a force to be reckoned with, as On does not get sniped during his magical journey. He'll be able to complete that journey. And something I want to talk about here is BLG getting a little bit further ahead and a little bit unmanageable by WE is how are we feeling on the check-in of the attacking when we're supposed to be attacking and defending when we're supposed to be defending motto that BLG is trying to take on here?
I think if we ignore what was happening in the top lane, it's looked pretty good. They've gone.
We ignore Shun going into 1v3 for a Scuttle Crab.
Yeah. Hang on, Monki at least
should be okay.
And get away.
Oh, Viper's feeling himself. Oh. Doesn't get him in the end. Did have the rest of the team coming up behind him, but Viper is styling now.
More mana and your Trinity Force at this point. Viper is just ripping heads off of his opponents. And yeah, I mean, I think this hasn't been the best game from them overall, right? Because you can't just ignore the top lane plays where every single time you were seeing Bin step a little bit too far up and die. Yeah, it hasn't cost them versus WE, but you know, WE, they're not the best team that we have here in the LPL, and playing overly aggressive and dying a lot is how BLG ended up losing versus Top Easters, ended up losing versus NIP. So they haven't been able to plaster over all of those problems quite yet. I don't know that it's going to punish them so far in this game, and I think once we got past the first 8 or 9 minutes of the game, things stabilized out a lot more for BLG, and they are now playing around their objectives very well, finding good flanks, finding good picks, and at this point it really does feel like there's not a whole lot that WE can do.
Yeah, the comp is just not functioning the way it needs to, and again, you're facing a double ADC comp. It is so hard when you don't have any lead or any at least priority on getting to those squishier carries.
Yep.
And now it's getting so far ahead that Knight's on 10 stacks on his Magi's, working on his 4th item. That's going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Knight has been playing an incredible split so far, probably working his way towards another league MVP if he keeps this pace up or even manages to accelerate it even
It's him or
further.
TN so far, one of the two.
Very much. Now, he might be caught out right here. So far hasn't died, but with 4 members of WE collapsing.
He's going to pop Tibbers there. TP's coming in, but he's dead. That's a hell of a caster curse there. And guess who else is going to die? It's going to be Ben. So they joined each other in 1,200 kills together, and they will also join each other in a double death.
Yeah, grey screen simulator coming on through right here for those two, and it's actually going to respond with a Baron as well. WE trying desperately to pick this one up. Now, about having to flash over a wall to try to get away.
Oh,
Viper's dead!
God! BLG are losing their minds. That is insane. Viper just went for that. That is crazy. As that's a Baron for WE.
Yeah, it is. I mean, at this point, right, you've got On and Jun available, so you do have a smite. Urha is very low. Jun going over. I mean, he's about. There's no way this gets stolen away. Surely this is the first Baron.
They're going to turn. They're going to go on. They're going to be patient. They're going to play this safe. Shun holding, waiting, but they know they don't want to take the fight. Charge does connect. And Shun going in the pit. It's not going to be enough. No way. Okay, it is going to be going the way of WE. They were able to secure it. They got 4 Baron buffs out, and Shun dies.
That was a painful watch for a second there. Really did think that WE were going to end up having that one stolen away, but BLG, they were up by about 7,000 gold, now had that lead cut down below half, and a WE that were able to grab themselves those first couple of Drakes can also now come back out on the map and potentially play for this next Hextech Drake as well. With the Baron buff in inventory, let's see what WE are able to do. So far, they haven't cracked a single outer tower, so lots of standing gold available, and this could potentially be the way that you get back into this game.
Just looking at how Knight was positioned here, just fully surrounded by wards and vision. Don't know why Ben came in, but he didn't. He did anyways. Oh, we don't get a chance. Shun smites it away. Monki going too early on the smite. It'll be the dragon going the way of BLG. Now Ben's trying to chase down Arha, but just gets fully focused down. BLG are playing like chickens with their heads cut off. They're so split. They're playing on multi-different facets, but Knight still shines the most. He's able to take down a semi-solo kill on the side of the fight. So he's going to be running away now. BLG lost a lot, but they did gain a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing right here, BLG? Why are they playing like this? All they needed to do was play a little bit slower, a little bit calmer. Instead, Knight going in. Okay, sure. Yeah, why not?
Viper that gets the kill. Now a Cataclysm coming in. That's going to be a big crescent guard, but they're just going to move in and clear out. Knight is just running at people, and it's incredible to watch his Annie just grow monstrous across this LPL split. He has been insane on the pick, and it continues here, where he's 9-1 in this first game.
And I thought that one was going to cost them quite a lot. Of WE picking themselves up the Baron looked like they were going to grab themselves Soul Point as well, but WE, their setup around objectives has just not been good. And Knight making up for his mistake big time, picking up some huge kills right here. And we'll have a look back at what happened, because we jumped into this replay a little bit late. I mean, the Temper Fate completely misses, and Jun also misses the smite, I think. He just grabs that by hitting it with an auto attack, but over on the flank side of it, hey, I respect the attempt, bud. I respect trying, and it at least splits the members of WE up enough that Knight is able to just, there's nothing you can do as about in this situation. Knight is so strong right here on the Annie.
It's so tough because you can just see how much burst that combo does with the tippers, but not only that, in that fight afterwards, just kind of using the flash with the AoE flamethrower to take him down. Really nicely done from Knight, picking apart the moments, and a tier 2 tower on the top side is now going to fall over, as I do believe our HUD has broken, but nonetheless, it's still now about a 7,000 gold lead for BLG, which goes right back to where they were. So I guess no harm, no foul, maybe? Is Danny upset? Maybe.
Probably. You would expect, right? You really don't want to be throwing anything away versus WE. WE, one of those teams that you expect
to they got the Viper on a flank. What the hell? Oh my god, that's some rat behavior if I ever seen it. Viper just flanked 3 people in mid. That's an Ezreal. Oh my god. Alright, BLG are cleaning house here in this game. They're looking to try to take down this mid lane, maybe open up some inhibs here, but it's going to be a bit hard. Does seem like they're playing with their food a little bit.
There's a negative thousands and thousands of gold Baron right there. I mean, you go into that Baron, having picked up no outer towers, you end that Baron losing out onto your mid lane inhibitor. I mean, this has been crazy bad out of WE, and I mean, BLG, they're not even looking to stop. They want to end it right here.
Oh, they got the stun on a cube. Dude, I'm still just mind blown by Viper's flank on Ezreal. I kind of dig it. That's the kind of ADC play I'm here for.
Look, we had a real question coming into today of whether or not BLG were going to disrespect WE and look past them and give over a game. Now, they definitely disrespected them, but I think that it just doesn't matter at this point. Cube teleport coming on in. Knight teleporting back away as well, knowing that he doesn't want to stick around too long. And if we're talking about disrespect, right? Vayne top. Flanks from your ADC. All of that. And it just has not cost them too much at this point. It's been a messier game than you'd expect overall, but it's never really felt like WE were in control.
And Knight has 4 items now with 20 stacks on his Magi's and a Rabadon. So, yeah, he's almost at 600 AP right now. No big deal. Looking like he's going to be working on a Void Staff next as well. So that's going to be even more of a detriment to WE. And I guess at this point, I'm just wondering what WE has left in the tank. Because I will say, you know, some of these picks are going to be some cream of the crop in terms of the local meta. But it feels bad not to have that that continuation of the early game that had started to look so good for WE continue on into that mid game, which we always know is a troubling part of WE's history so far this split.
I mean, their ability to play through these mid-game skirmishes has been really quite bad, and now Cube potentially going to get caught as well. Good. Stop.
Run, Cube, run.
He does at least flash away.
Yeah. Hey, not, you know, he's alive. One of the things. Oh my god, I just realized Bin is at over about Chovy status right now on Vayne.
Yep.
I guess so is Viper. Honestly, at this point, let's just see who wins in the ADC farm off. Is it going to be...
It's going to be Bin.
You think
it's
so?
Gonna be, you know it's going to be Bin. After a terrible early game, you know it's going to be Bin. Right, now will Bin step up into this bush of death? Because Bin, in the first 5 minutes of this game, absolutely would have stepped into that brush, but he decides that there's no real point in stepping up any further forwards, and BLG will continue to live on right here. Karis as well, going to get tagged through with that ulti, so just going to have to turn tail and run, and with the next Baron up and available, WE weren't able to get anything from theirs. BLG looking to do something a little bit different with their potential pick.
And, I know going into this, we were talking about how clean we wanted to see BLG capitalize on this series, because I think it's a big one for them to continue kind of solidifying themselves in that upper echelon. And this is looking like a semi-clean performance there, but also just going to call it out, a little bit of disrespect I feel like we've gotten from BLG against WE, and that has been a hallmark from this BLG team for many years. And it's also come back to bite them occasionally. I'm not saying it's going to do it right now, but still something to think about as time goes on. Now, just sub about a 10,000 gold lead for BLG as they baited out the Baron start. Probably going to try to finish it off here very soon, but just wanted to see what they could get out of WE here in this little lull period.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are asleep at the wheel here as WE and BLG can just steal that one away, that will be really nice. Jun going to get forced away from his reset. And now WE, they're beginning to get themselves a little bit of control around the mid lane. They've not really got control over any of the side lanes, but they clearly don't care. Just going to meet up as 5 people and try to push on forwards. Ooh. Charm lands onto Viper.
The Viper just eat forward in front of 5 people and gets charmed for it. Shun, he's going to lose his GA. BLG. Again, disrespecting a little bit of the setup here as Shun does get away. He is a Jarvan after all. Does lose his GA that he just was able to pick up too. And now BLG need to be a little bit careful of this meatball that's running around for WE.
Yeah. I mean, now at this point, you're in a really strong spot to be able to keep pushing on forwards. And I think Viper had to flash away from the tempered freight from on during that play as well, so really a little bit of miscommunication coming through from the BLG members, but you can see Knight constantly hunting on a flank, looking to see if he can get a little bit of a flank around his opponents, try to catch one of those squishier members out. For WE, it doesn't really turn into anything too much. Now we're going to see resets coming on through and teams looking to play around the bottom side of the map. For BLG, grabbing yourself this Hextech Soul would be massive. That would be a huge boon to their ability to fight out these plays. And with some control being established around the bot side of the map and mid lane control as well, potentially they could start this one up as it spawns through.
You know when dogs hear something that's like odd to them and they like tilt their head? I'm kind of doing that with Bin's build here because I'm just curious. I'm kind of here for it. I'm down for the Essence Reaver. I'm down for the Fiend Hunter bolts. I'm kind of here for when he ults to see what happens because that's a lot of steroids going into an ultimate from him that has not necessarily paid off like a million times, but now he's also got the Mercurial Scimitar.
Yeah, I do like it because, I mean, hey, you are just about ulting and sprinting your opponents at this point, right? If you die, really not the end of the world as long as you've done a boatload of damage first. And Monkey getting caught out here is not good.
Hit somebody. Crescent Guard comes out, but they're going to try to get... they just can't do it. The damage isn't going through. Monkey flashing away. Gets cataclysmed. The GAs are going to be popping here left and right. Got zombie mode going, but Bin is now starting to run away. And he did ultimate, and now we get to see the fruits of his labor. Everything activating in his item window, and BLG activating in this series. It's a 1-0 easy start to this best of 3.
You asked about that Bin build right there. Well, that's what it's for. Press ulti, sprint at your opponents, and win the game. BLG, they made it a little bit harder than they overall needed to, most likely, right? There were a couple of really weird moments. Bin himself dying 3 times to the same gank early on. But honestly, a little part of me, Mazel, feels like it's bait here. Because we established the fact that, hey, if you're going to win through anywhere, it was going to be around that bottom side. And the fact that Monkey spent all of his time repeat ganking Bin in the top lane didn't actually help Cube. Cube was still down by a bunch of CS. Didn't actually put Bin behind. Bin was still able to get his items going and get onto the map. And then it meant that you didn't have any of that play around about an Arha. So they never really got ahead either. As much as those early kills looked good for WE, they didn't really translate into any real effective gold later on. Yeah,
it's a tough place to be in. And let's be real, it's the place that WE has been for a lot of this split, which is... you feel for the players. Obviously, the roster swap coming in here today, trying to make something work against one of the best teams is always difficult because I feel like you don't get a fair kind of results off of it. Trying to figure out if this is going to work better or not. But whatever that happened in game number 1 did not work. So you do wonder what they kind of try to return to the drawing board with. But honestly, I want to see Danny slapping the boys on the wrist a little bit. Like, what the heck? What was that, guys? Like, a couple of those mid-game plays, a couple of those early game plays going a little bit tough when you really want to try to secure clean wins here. You're trying to keep up, obviously, with the top 4. Top 4 is very important here in this split, at least in Group Ascend, but also, you know, trying to keep some of that prestige going in that fight with top esports for the top 2 places.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Versus a WE, you can make almost every single mistake under the sun, and there's not really anything that WE can actually do to get themselves wins. I mean, it feels rough to say, and maybe we'll get proven wrong in game number 2 when WE find a miraculous win, and we're super thrilled with it. But really, you're not expecting...
Gonna happen.
It could. It definitely could happen. I mean, I would not be betting any money on it. I would not be thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be really, really great for WE this next game. But for a BLG who are looking to compete at the top, who have got incredibly important matchups coming up for them in the next couple of games, their next matchup is versus NIP, who they lost 2-0 to previously. Yep. Then they've got JDG, IG, TES, AL to round out their season. Those are some really solid teams, all competing with you for the same couple of spots, and any of the mistakes they made in this game, Bin falling this far behind, getting caught on a couple of flanks, not being particularly good with On and his Tempered Fates, all of those will cost you versus better teams, and they really need to be able to iron that out.
Ooh, that is a dip and a half there, 25 minutes. A little scary. Yeah, to keep the blood pumping, you know. The thing that was always there for BLG was Knight. Like, the guy was insane. Yes, he got caught one time and also dragged Bin down to the grave with him, but this guy was insane all game long, just able to lock down so much of WE and provide such a pressure point for BLG to play off of. Even when things weren't going well for other members, he was still, you know, on 1 death for the majority of the game. And it's got to feel good for at least those moments to step up for Knight, who has been running for that MVP category here in split number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's now going to be his 4th game right here on the Annie. It's the most played champion he's had throughout the split, and he's had a
There's a lot of champions playing.
Yeah, he's been playing a ton of champions, and yet the Annie is something he keeps coming back to time and time again. It's a really good counter in some of these heavier roaming champions. It also just is something he's very good at. He even plays it in some of its worst matchups and doesn't really care about it, right? Oh well, you've got Isaiah, cool, I'll keep playing, I'll keep pushing forwards into you, it's all good, whatever. And I really like the way that he has just been so aggressive with this champion. Not necessarily in lane, he kind of lets the lane happen as it needs to, but it's once you get into these team fights, he'll look for flanks, he'll look for these angles, and he's happy to step up, and if he can blow up 2 of your members and die, he's happy with that. But in a lot of situations, he doesn't even end up trading over.
Still, there's some plays in this that were so nuts. Okay, well, of course they're going to show this one.
You're allowed one, right? If you play the rest of the game this way.
One bad play.
Yeah.
Ben, I don't know what that was. But anyways, I think we get to see BLG have a little bit of fun here. I would like to see them kind of clean this one up into 2-0, even though I still think that W could still win a game of some sort. It is BLG that's looking to try to be clean as possible. And little shout out to On, his Bard. I feel like it was right in the middle of the on-off switch. It was like when you accidentally don't flip it strong enough and it just like stays in the middle. It was like right there. It's right there in the middle.
The light like flickering on and off a little bit as well, you know. There were a couple
horror movie starting.
I mean, Viper had flash away from a Tempered Fate that was
Viper had a flank this game.
Yeah, Viper had a flank.
That's like watching an offensive lineman score a touchdown in football.
I love it. Absolutely love to see it. And I love the aggression he was playing with. Again, this was the disrespect we keep talking about, where BLG, they were just trying stuff, right? You don't really have to respect WE too much. I mean, they got close, I think, in a couple of moments to overly disrespecting them. The fact that WE, by all rights, should have had the Baron and Soul Point and then been in a good spot to keep playing the game. Instead, they lose that teamfight massively. They have the Dragon stolen away from them. WE, they're just not a good control team at all, but for BLG, again, we have to keep highlighting, yes, this flies versus WE, but if you play like this versus a better team, you will lose.
Yeah, there's no way about it. 10-1-9 on the Annie, does get the MVP for game number 1. See if he gets the player of the series if things keep going like this, but BLG feeling really confident and pretty forward with what they want to do tonight, and that is to dominate WE across the board. I hope we see a little bit of a resurgence from WE. The magic that would be a first win of the season over one of the top opponents, it would just ride itself. Maybe we'll get to that point. 7 out of 8 votes for Knight. Very well deserved. And that means that we're going to be taking off into a little break, getting ready for that game number 2 to see if WE can really do it or if BLG reassume first in the league for now.